This is Nick from Boston, and this is the Katie Black Show.
Really into the unexplained, what have you. Was wondering
hmm
if you had seen a ghost or something really eerie or unexplained that you can share.
I haven't seen a ghost. I've always wanted to because I also love graveyards. So I've always felt like it would be in my world, but I haven't yet. Um I don't know. I feel like the weirdest is, and I feel better about like saying this just because I was with a friend too, but we were exploring this like abandoned house a while ago, and we both like clearly like heard someone calling our names, and we thought that was really weird.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, but
Like
no
both of
one else
those
was there.
names?
Yeah, both of our names, and like we could hear it very clearly, and we thought we were being pranked, but I don't know. We still might have been. I'm not going to deny it, but no one ever fessed up to it, and to what we knew, no one else was there. So I thought that was weird.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like,
Totally. Wow, that's kind of cool. Um, well, obviously, so currently in the news, I mean, it's probably been in the news for a couple weeks now, debate whether we like shot down some like UFO things.
yeah. I don't know. I go so like, there's part of me that I'm very like, I don't know. I can be very superstitious and this and that, but I can also be very logical, and then I can also be very like, I don't know, like, what do you call that? Like
Conspiracy theory?
government distrusting, where I'm like, is it all a lie? So I'm like, I don't know. At this point, I'm like, I feel like if you would have like if this happened a couple of years ago, I would have had a really strong perspective. But at this point of my life, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm like, it could be anything. And like, it all feels pretty plausible.
Wow. So do you feel like now you're just more like when you said a few years ago you would have thought like one way, like what one way would that be?
I would have been like, there's aliens for sure. Let me shot down.
And now you're just kind of like it could be eight different directions.
Yeah, it could be. I was like, it could be anything, which I don't know if it's like even a good thing. I just feel like I'm like, I spent a lot of my life thinking I knew everything. To now, I'm like, I don't know if anyone really knows that much. I'm just kind of guessing and checking out here.
That's kind of cool. That's a cool perspective to.
Maybe.
Okay, so like I said, going back to my, organic crazy questions, and then I'm gonna let you give a shout out to all your social media and where people can find your music and your soon to be new music. Um, I love the unexplained and was wondering if you had ever seen a ghost or just maybe not a ghost, but just something bizarre that you never forgot.
Yes, and I was ready for this because I know you guys talk about it on the show so much. And it's so I've never seen a ghost. I've never seen like something like that happen.
Mhm.
I believe it's probably out there because I've had so many people that I know, like friends that have experienced things that you like hear about it so often. It's like I feel like there must be something to it because it's just such a common phenomenon. It seems like, but I have seen very very relevant of me. I have seen like UFOs before when I've just been out like star watching and stuff. And that's so like this whole thing is such a big deal to me right now. All the hearings and stuff they're having about like the alien life forms and stuff. I think it's so fascinating. And it's also blowing my mind that nobody seems to be interested in it. Have you heard about this?
Oh my gosh, yes. No, totally. And I've never had a UFO experience, but obviously again have followed all the stories that have been reported throughout the years. Um, but okay, so how did you like have more than one occurrence with these sightings or
So I've only seen like one in my lifetime. I remember, and it was actually like here in Charlotte. I was like at Birkdale one time, which is like off of exit 25 off 77. And I was just hanging out with some friends late night in the parking lot. We were just walking around, like high school or whatever. And I looked up and I saw this like huge orb thing that just came down. It was like a big yellow light and it just kind of like spun around and like shot off. And it was so weird, like, moving in a way that like
I love it.
clearly nothing that I've ever seen moves like that. So I'm like, that for sure is not like a human
Oh my God, yeah.
spacecraft or whatever. And so that has always like, yeah, that's always stuck with me. Not that I know what that is. I'm sure it could be a number of things, but to me, it's like that was so unexplainable when I saw it.
So let me dissect this. So like it like literally like does it come down to like eye level, or does it come down like to just like we're at the top of like a roof of a building, or?
Yeah, so it was like way up in the sky, but it was just this like big yellow orb, and it kind of just like dropped, and then it like spun around and just like shot off like a frisbee kind of. And but it was like a whole like 2 minutes of watching this thing do this and just
Oh,
move
wow.
around and like in really, really weird, bizarre ways that like no airship we have or anything, to my knowledge, is capable of doing. So that's like always fascinated me. And like you, I've always kept up with like, people coming out, whistleblowers and stuff, talking about things like interactions with aliens and spaceships and UFOs and stuff like that. And so I've always been fascinated by that. And I think it's such a crazy moment in history that they're, even if nothing comes of it and they don't release any evidence, just the fact that they're like talking about it, lawmakers are talking about it and it's on national television and it's being brought, like that's such a big moment, I feel like. And it's crazy to me that nobody seems like
I wonder too if
Sure.
either everyone is just so like mind fucked with just the world in the past 3 years that they're just like, whatever, we knew this, or if it's, I don't know, because I mean, obviously, and I don't know if it's an older generation thing, but like my, my dad does not believe in any of that stuff. So I don't know if it's like older, but do you think that there is? Because I've seen stories where like at some point, again, I love Unsolved Mysteries. There was an old episode that this family in Texas saw this UFO, but I mean, it was like it came down and then they ended up being like severely ill for a week and like weird burns. And then at some point, the military always comes in and there's like weirdness. Do you feel like we've always covered up, or?
I think so, especially based on like, it's hard to say because obviously I don't know any of these people in these hearings who are giving their testimonies, but they've talked about, a lot of the people that have been speaking in these hearings have talked about the government covering it up and stuff. And I'm a big conspiracy theory believer, especially because there's so many conspiracies that end up being true. So I won't say I believe in all of them because obviously there's some kind of crazy ones out there, but like some of the more tame ones, I'm like, especially when you look at like, I've always been really, in the last couple of years, I won't say always, but the last couple of years, I've been really into like just understanding politics and societies and things like that, and doing a lot of research on it, reading a lot of books. And when you read like declassified documents, it's crazy the stuff that like, and it's like stuff the government has stamped off and is like, okay, we'll let the public see this.
Off the cuff randomness at the end. Was wondering if you've ever seen a ghost or something unexplained or UFO or anything you want to share.
Yes, definitely. Definitely seen ghosts. I didn't realize like it was when I was younger. It started just weird things. Like I had a feeling, and then I started seeing things, and I just thought it was odd. And then I realized, like, after talking to my mom one day, she's like, "I've been seeing things too," and my mother has seen things, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's maybe something passed down. This is weird. I try not to talk about this stuff because I don't want people to like have like this like weird impression of me. But like, I've definitely seen things. One notable moment. I was in my room. I was actually at my nan's house, and Hicksville, New York, and I was sleeping. I was laying in a bed doing homework, and I was waiting for my mom to come up stairs because I had a question. And in the corner of the room, there's a mirror that faces out to the hallway, so you can literally see, like into the hallway from the mirror, whatever. So I see a woman walk by in a nightdress, and I was like, "Mom." And she didn't answer. I was like, "Mom." So I got up, I ran to the hallway and ran to her room, and I realized I was standing there alone in the dark. And I was like my heart just dropped, like it fell out of my ass. Like I was just like, what the hell was that? So the next day I reached out to my nan. I was talking to my nan, and I'm like, "So I saw something last night. It wasn't my mom." She's like, "What was it?" I said, "It was a lady in a nightdress." So basically she was like, "So before we moved in, there was a lady that lived in this house, and her husband divorced her. And she didn't have a place to go. She had no money. So we ended up buying the house, and we let her live here with us. Eventually, she did move out, but she passed away, and I've seen her too, and she's been walking around the hallways. So very creepy. So that's just a very odd story, but like, it's nuts. Then I've had the bad ones too, like something like I'm so freaked out by what I just saw that I literally
Paralyzed.
paralyzed. Like clear as day, and I can't make it out, but like I can't move. I'm getting chills thinking about it. It's nuts. So yes, I've definitely seen that. UFOs, I've seen UFOs too. Definitely.
Bro, you're like the jackpot. Is it just kind of like how many UFOs do you think you've seen?
I want to say 2 for sure. I mean, my mom said we were by an Air Force base, but this thing stopped above a supermarket and just hovered there. It was weird. It was so weird. And then it just left. And I was like, Ma, you saw that? She's like, well, there's an Air Force base. Maybe that's, I was like, all right, no, I know what I saw. And then actually it was about like 2 weeks ago, I'm talking to my DJ friend after a gig, and like I look up and it was like an orange glow. And I was like, he's like, look at me. I was like, bro, you didn't see that? Like it just blasted off and just flew like that. And I was like, that was not a star, bro. I don't know what that thing was, but out of control. Anyways, those are my long stories. Yeah.
I love it. Appreciate you sharing, but I will say something, what you said about like being handed down. Like I do think, because there's something on my mom's side, like my grandma had to thank my mom and like me and my sister a little bit. So I do think that there's something to like, I don't know if it's like just like a gene or like some kind of where like, yeah, but basically I'm confirming that I believe that it is handed down.
Cool. That's awesome. I agree. I think it is too.
Like I said, I'm trying to figure out, like I said, mine isn't really like ghosts. I've seen one, but mine is more like vibes and like literally seeing like images in my head and trying to connect them.
That's cool. So, keep working on it. I really think people just have to work on it, and eventually they can kind of hone in on that. Definitely for that, but I don't know. I've tried energies. I can't read energies. You would think as a DJ, like that kind of energy I could read, but I can't. I don't know. I think kids can. Honestly, I think they all start with it and then it kind of fades.
That's my understanding, just because of all my weird research. It's essentially like kids are more inclined to, because they like have really no ego.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not corrupted yet. It's nuts.
So one last question. Do you feel like, as you've aged, like, do you feel like you don't see as many things, or like that's really not the case with you?
I guess you could relate it to that, honestly. I don't know. I guess it also depends on kind of where you're at in life. And, I'm so happy in my life that, like, I don't know, maybe I just overlook those things now, or I know how to kind of avoid them. I haven't seen anything in a really long time. Maybe it's just the house that I'm living in. But
that could be it too. Yeah.
I was wondering that too, but it's weird because I don't dream that much either. Seemed like that went away. I don't know.